What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another episode of the Sanchez Show, Wednesday night with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. We got picks tonight, man. It's week 2 of the NFL season. Shout out to everybody who's over on Instagram. Bear with me if you got questions or comments on Instagram. I'm switching back and forth between YouTube and Facebook stream. But my brothers Will Gordon, Trip Young, and Vernon Brownlee will be joining at some point tonight. We all got picks for week 2. Shout out to Will Gordon. He was the star of week 1. We're going to get into that once he joins the live as well. Hope everyone is doing well. I see the comment section already buzzing. I see Pooh in here. I see Kyrie in here. Who else we had in here? We got Tito in here. We got Ron was in here. Tito, you got a good question about the Jags, so we got to get to that. Yeah, man. So we're going to get to all of this. I'm going to knock out some of this stuff that's not football related before the fellas jump on. Pooh, shout out to Pooh. It is the fight of the year. It's one of the most anticipated fights since Crawford and Errol Spence, which was 3 years ago. It's probably the biggest fight. It's probably the biggest fight since Canelo Triple G, the first time they got it on. It's definitely on the level of Floyd Pacquiao, but obviously I think this one has more at stake just because these fighters are a little bit younger. We're catching them at a time where we expect it to not only be a great fight, but if possible, we could get 2 fights out of this. I'm leaning towards Canelo, Pooh, but we're going to get more into it as the show goes on because I know Trip has thoughts on the fight tonight as well. And I believe Vern does as well. So I'm not going to go too far on my analysis on what I think. But I think it's going to be a great fight. We're going to circle back to that one, Pooh. Let's see what else we got. Kyrie said, is Draymond on LeBron's payroll? The shit he says about him is crazy. I know y'all see him on Kai Sinatra saying what makes him better than Michael Jordan, right? It's almost like Rich Paul is behind it. I believe Rich Paul is 1,000% behind it. Draymond is a clutch client. Obviously, him and LeBron have a great relationship. We've seen pictures of them hanging out in the offseason. But the commentary is so crazy. First of all, the Kai Sinat stream is funny to me because Draymond is trying to go into like this in-depth basketball reasoning as to why LeBron is the greatest. Like Kai Sinat and his crew, they not analyzing basketball in that way. Also, you're talking to a generation who never got to see Michael Jordan play. Kai Sinat and guys, they in their mid-20s. They never got to see Mike. They only saw LeBron. So in their perspective and the way they're viewing it is like Mike was this guy that's so long ago, it's almost unrelatable as if the game has changed so much since then. So they don't get it. But he used a comparison about, Mike couldn't have won a championship with Matthew Dellavedova. I mean, LeBron didn't win one with Matthew Dellavedova as his number 2 player. Let's not act like that's how it happened. When they won, obviously that was with Kyrie, with Kevin Love, with everybody else that was on the team. So for Draymond to say that, and then he tried to like backpedal a little bit and say, he won 2 games in the finals. Yeah, they won 2 games in the finals with Matthew Dellavedova, but it's not like Matthew Dellavedova was the second best player on that team. I think that's just a bullshit take by Draymond. Trip, let me know when you're ready, man. Give me a thumbs up. We're going to bring you on camera. Comment section's already buzzing. Pooh said, I got to bring that Draymond question so Will, Trip, and other can comment on it too. We're going to try to. It's going to be a lot of NFL talk tonight, y'all, so I'm not even going to front. I'm going to try to get some of the basketball questions out the way quick because not only do we got picks, we got a lot to get into. Reactions from week 1. Last week, obviously, we recorded on a Wednesday, so we were able to give our picks for every game starting from the Thursday night on. I know Will is going to want to take his victory lap. He said the Chargers would win on Friday night. They did win on Friday night. And then we just got a lot to get into moving forward. Surprises, reactions. I know Trip and I talked about Buffalo and Baltimore, but I think we got to get a little more in depth there. There's a situation that's brewing right now in San Fran that we got to keep an eye on as well. So there's a lot to get into. Some of these basketball questions, we just got to get them early on. Trip, you ready? As always, got my brother with me, Trip Young in the building. Trip, what's good, bro?
What's going on, man? Back in teacher mode, back with the kids. So.
Listen, and I'm sure the kids are having fun, just like you having fun teaching them.
Yeah. They was just getting at me today because they was like, "Yo, you can't be having the kids. They be trying to leave the other group to go to the other classes." And then my supervisor's gonna look right at me and say, "Mr. Anthony." I was like, "It's not my fault. I'm cool. Excuse me."
Listen, man. when the kids, one thing about children, and we talking all ages, even up into high school, teenagers, when they feel that the love is genuine and the energy is genuine, they're gonna want to be around you. That's why your nephews love being around you. That's why my nephews love being around me because they know that the energy is genuine. So it's like, nah, I want to go over there. You know what I'm saying? Where Trip at? I want to go over there where Uncle Eric at. So I think that's natural, bro. But
Nah, it's a fact.
Trip, we got. Hold on, I was fixing something here in the background, and I'm switching back and forth, making sure we don't have nothing on IG. Let's get into this Draymond question real quick before Will Gordon joins. He should be joining shortly. Kyrie said, "Is Draymond on LeBron's payroll? The shit he says about him is crazy. I know y'all seen him on Casanat show saying what makes him better than MJ. It's almost like Rich Paul is behind it. I do feel like Rich Paul and them are behind it, but you let me know."
I mean, they are friends. Draymond has also stated in the past that he believes that LeBron is the GOAT. But I don't know about this, Rich Paul is telling him to say this. Like, one thing about Draymond is he ain't the type of person I don't believe to let somebody just dictate to him what he should say about somebody.
Will, once you're ready, give me a thumbs up, Will.
If he's saying it himself, I mean, crazy take or not, I believe it's coming from Draymond Green.
I think I view it as, I'm not gonna say Draymond's their puppet. I don't feel like he would do it to that extent. But in terms of he's a clutch client, him and LeBron have business dealings together. He's gonna support his man, and I get it. Now, like my original statement that I made that I found funny in all this was that he's on Kai Cenat's stream. Now, Kai Cenat and them dudes is what, like 24, 25 years old. All they know is LeBron. They never saw Mike. So Draymond is trying to be like over analytical as to why Braun is better than Mike. Like, bro, them dudes never saw Mike. So all that analytics and all that insight you're trying to give really isn't resonating. You just sound like you're overly educated or overly pushing a narrative of LeBron James. That's why I think Kyrie looks at it the way like, yo, the shit he's saying is crazy. It's like you talking to a bunch of kids who never saw Mike other than highlights. And you trying to give reasoning why, well, because Braun could do this and Mike can't do that. It's like, bro, they never saw Mike play. If you feel Braun is your guy, cool, you can say that. But let's not try to, if we're gonna get over analytical, let's be real. What is it on a basketball court that Braun could do that Mike can't do? Because Braun wasn't a better offensive player than Mike. He wasn't a better defensive player than Mike. So what aspect of his game are you saying he's better? If you're saying the longevity and the accolades that he's been able to obtain through playing in the league for 20 plus years, all right, then say the resume is stronger. But if I put the film on both these guys, there's not one aspect of the game that you can say LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. There's nowhere on the court.
I definitely would say assistant rebounding, he's definitely better than him.
Well, I mean, rebounding, I would hope he is. He's 3 inches taller than Michael Jordan, and he plays in a free-flowing game where Mike played in an era where everything was dominated by the big man in the paint. So that's why when we look at what Russell Westbrook and the emphasis we put on triple doubles is because most times guards of that size weren't able to get to the backboard and have that type of rebound and impact. LeBron James is 6'9". LeBron James is pretty much Karl Malone with athleticism. He should be grabbing more rebounds. So, I mean, but again, that's more just the position that you play. I don't think because he grabs rebounds, that's an aspect or ability of his game that's better than Michael Jordan. Because again, his footwork isn't better than Michael Jordan. His ability to score on all 3 levels isn't better than Michael Jordan. I don't think his court vision is better than Michael Jordan. He's not a better defensive player than Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan was on more all defensive teams than LeBron has been on.
I could argue about the court vision, but
I don't think his court vision was better than Mike either. But Will Gordon's in the building. We're gonna bring him on. Will, what's good, bro?
Hey, you bringing me on right on time. Mike ain't have court vision.
That's what I said. I don't think his.
Hold on. Let's. Whoa. Hold on. All right, Trip. Tell me this then. Since Mike ain't had no court vision, he as good as LeBron.
No. I said I could argue that LeBron has better court vision than Mike. I never said Mike did not have court vision.
Oh, okay, my bad. I didn't mean to misrepresent your statement. But I remember when the Bulls lost their point guard. Mm-hmm. This is the early young Mike Bulls lost their point guard for a stretch of the season. And Mike had to run point for 12 games and averages the triple-double while he ran point for 12 games over the stretch of 12 games. So so he could distribute the rock. Let's not act like that's not a part of his game. That wasn't his role.
But LeBron
That's
also led the league in assists before.
What'd you say?
He led the league.
That's fine. But like I said with Mike, that was not his role. But when it was, he averaged a trip-dub. But when it was not, he was dropping 40 on people.
I'll say, but hold on. I want to say this. Hold on. We're not going to turn this into a 30-minute LeBron conversation. We're not going to do that. I want to say this though. One thing about LeBron, I think sometimes it gets overlooked or doesn't get talked about enough is LeBron came into an era where he was given much more freedom to be a floor general, to quote unquote, like you said, see the floor and kind of facilitate and do all these things. Mike played in an era where there was so much structure. Your position was your position. Pause. If you were a big man, you were forced to play down by the basket. If you were a point guard, you were forced to handle the ball for 90% of the game and facilitate offense. Even if you weren't even a good point guard, that was your role. LeBron, and now we see it carry over, and this is one of the things I always said about Steph too. They play in an era where coaches are more willing. You're the best player on the team. You handle the ball. You get the freedom to do whatever you want on offense. So LeBron came into a situation where if LeBron had played in the 80s, most coaches would have made him a power forward and put him down on the block. They would not have let him operate from the top of the key and run pick and roll and facilitate offense, because that's just not how the game was coached in the 80s and early 90s. As we transitioned away from the Michael Jordan era, best players were allowed to stand at the top of the key with the ball and initiate offense. So I think that's a big and a major factor for why LeBron has been able to do some of the things he's done. He's been given a green light that a lot of other great players never had.
I look at LeBron like as overall as such a much better player. When he came in, just embraced running point. If he played point coming into the league, I'd look at his career completely different. If he was a point guard instead of trying to be giving me the ball and everybody else try to figure out what they're supposed to do. If he embraced being a point guard like Magic was, a 6'9" point guard, I think everybody would probably look at his career way differently than I look at it right now. But he never embraced that.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it does go differently. Who knows? But again, we don't want to take too much time talking about LeBron. The comment section is buzzing. Will, you came in on fire, pause, but you didn't give us the greeting. You didn't give us the,
what it do, baby?
Thank you.
Hey, doing everybody doing good to be with you, Trip. Eric, followers, what's good? You see the team?
Before we get to these other questions, you know what I'm saying? I gotta give you your respect, Will, because not only were you right about Friday night, big time game by the Chargers, the win. Justin Herbert showed up in the matchup. Are you aware of what your record was last week on picking games?
I'm not actually. I was too wrapped up in fantasy when I went 0-3 across my leagues. That's all I was worried about. What we end up doing in the picks.
Listen, I hope that you put some money down last week. You went 13-3.
Damn. Okay.
And I wrote it down to double check, because I'm like, I was keeping tally of it. Your only losses last week: you lost the Miami pick, you lost the Patriots pick, and you lost the Ravens pick. You were a couple minutes away from being 14-2.
Damn, that would have been a nice little debut. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep that rolling.
You killed it last week. I was the worst last week. I went 6-10. It was terrible for me last week, even though I did win in fantasy. But my picks were not hitting last week. I shit the bed last week on picks. Trip, you had a good week last week. You went 9-7 last week, and you finished strong with getting. You didn't get the Ravens pick, but you did get the Monday night pick, and we talked before the game that night. So you went 9-7 again. The Ravens pick you just missed from possibly having a 10-win week. There was one other game that you lost. Oh, the Atlanta one hurt you as well, because if Atlanta would have won that game, you're looking at possibly 10-11 wins last week. Vern went 8-7. I didn't realize Vern did not pick the Pittsburgh Jets game last week. He went 8-7. So Will, when we start going over picks tonight, we starting with your picks because you hot right now. Pause.
Okay, yeah. I'll keep that. Try to keep that rolling.
All right, let's get to some of the questions that we got right here. Let's start with Ron. Ron, shout out to Ron, man, because he be the first one in the comment section damn near every week, man. He wants to know, is Caleb Williams the answer in Chicago? Trip, I'm going to let you start. We talked about Caleb on Monday. We wanted to see how he would look with Ben Johnson. For about a quarter and a half, it looked pretty good, and then they kind of got stale out there. What do you think? Is he the answer in Chicago?
I, not yet. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it will get there. We spoke about last year him coming into the league with the weapons that he was going to have, and we were like, okay, yeah, he could be kind of good because he has so many. DJ Moore, he had Allen out there, the kid Dunze, they drafted, they brought over DeAndre Swift. They had they got their tight end Komet, who's not like a top 10 tight end, but he's a touchdown machine, and he still really struggled. That offensive line, I don't know. I thought they had gotten better, but it's still pretty bad. So, as of right now, because I usually give guys 3 years before I really start, uh, you know, saying whether or not I think they're a bust or they're going to be a bust. So he still got some time to show and prove. But as of right now, I would say no, he's not the quarterback of the future for the Bears.
Will, what you think?
I think it's still too early. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. Love when you come into the league with a coach like Matt Eberflus, you kind of already everything's going against you. So I kind of got to scrap last season completely and see what he does with a real competent offensive mind leading him at head coach. I'm gonna consider last season a wash, and I've said multiple times, if not for the Hell Jayton, I think this wouldn't even be a question because I think the Bears season would have went the trajectory that the Commanders season went just off that one play. We talking about a whole different narrative as far as Caleb Williams' first year and Jayden Daniels' first year, just all based off that one play. So I'm not ready to give up on Caleb Williams yet at all. Now, if we get into next season and you've seen no progression, you've seen no advancement in his game, then we can have that conversation. But I think right now, I think this is like rookie year 2.0 for him.
Yeah,
that's why I
think
give guys 3 years.
Say that again, Trip.
No, I said that's why I said I give guys 3 years before I really put the gavel down and say whether or not they're going to be a bust or I think they're going to be good.
This is a tough situation for Caleb Williams, and I don't think it's fair to judge him just yet. What Will said is correct, right? He came in with a lame duck head coach last year. Yeah, they surrounded him with weapons, but the offensive line was trash from the start. We saw that very early. But also for Caleb now, on his second head coach already, you're talking about a new offensive system. So keep in mind, he finishes at USC. He comes to Chicago. He's got to learn the playbook, got to learn his weapons on offense. They're playing together for the first time behind a bad offensive line. Then they ship out that coaching group and now bring in a new offensive coordinator, and you got to start all over again. And it's not just him. There's a lot of young guys on that offense, right? Roma Dunze is only a second-year receiver. He's learning a new offense. The tight end Loveland that they drafted, he's learning a new offense. They brought in 3 new offensive linemen. They're learning a new offense. And all of these things are in a Ben Johnson offense that everyone has said is predicated on timing. Everyone has to be on one accord. It's almost like a band that the timing has to be perfect in order for it to be executed right. So I think this is going to take some time this year for Caleb and this offense to get comfortable with each other. I wouldn't be surprised if they struggle the next 2 or 3 weeks until they get the timing. Because remember, they didn't really play preseason together either. So there's so many different things, snap counts, adjusting the lineman in front of you for blocking, running backs understanding who they're picking up on the blitz. There's so much that goes into determining this. And then I don't know if this theory is true or not. There's a reporter in Chicago. We might have to bookmark this on the podcast if this comes out. There's a reporter in Chicago who's claiming that Caleb Williams is dyslexic and that Ben Johnson has actually had to alter all of the wording in the play calling so that Caleb Williams isn't calling the plays backwards. So, again, I don't know how true that is because we've never heard that. There was none of that talk during the pre-draft stuff. But again, this and the reporter in Chicago wasn't saying it from like trash and Caleb. He was just saying that people don't understand the challenges that Ben Johnson's having putting the offense together in a way that Caleb can articulate it in the huddle to the players.
But no one ever, if that is true, he made it all the way through to the pros, and no one ever noticed that he was dyslexic.
I wouldn't say no one ever noticed. Keep in mind, he was with the same college coach for 3 years. He followed his college coach from Oklahoma to USC. So it's possible that they simplified the playbook at USC in a way. Remember, a lot of colleges with the no-huddle offense, they're just throwing up symbols. And the quarterback doesn't have to actually articulate a play in the huddle.
Yeah.
The play is coming from the sideline, and everybody turns their head to the sideline to get the play. So he's not actually in the huddle having to call a play as he does in the NFL. Also, one of the big knocks on Caleb has been that he plays quote-unquote backyard football, where he scrambles around and creates plays after the actual play that's designed. So it's very possible that that's been his way to make up for the fact that he can't really call plays. It's almost like I'll extend the plays and just get open, and my natural talent will take over from there. But that's just something to keep an eye on, because if he continues to struggle, if that ever comes out later on, we're going to remember we talked about that here on week 2, that there are reports that he is dyslexic, and that's the problem that he's having with all the plays.
Who said it?
I can look up the reporter's name. I'll find it for you. But I
was it like a beat guy or a radio guy?
No, a beat guy. It was a beat guy? Yeah.
If that's true, then at least it's something that can be fixed.
Well, it can be fixed, but again, there becomes the challenges.
His problem is not being able to really read and then execute the actual plays that are in the playbook. Because he's dyslexic, they can bring people in to help them to fix the playbook so that he can actually read, comprehend, and then go out and execute the plays, which could make a huge difference in how he looks on the field.
Yeah, and that's why I say, and the beat writer said it, the challenge really is for Ben Johnson to find a way to simplify it so that then Caleb can articulate it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you change the playbook for him to be able to understand it, then you got to change the verbiage for everybody.
Yes, because they got to understand it his way.
Remember, for people that may not understand, I know we know it, but for people that may not understand, when he goes in the huddle and it sounds like a bunch of verbiage, like we know John Gruden became famous for all the clips of him giving plays. All that is articulating something different for every position. Receivers got to understand it one way. Linemen got to understand it one way. Running backs got to understand it another way.
Okay, so I see it's on Yahoo too. So it's going around that he's dyslexic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was something that I just noticed earlier today. Beat writer had reported it, and now I guess other people are starting to report on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say it is or isn't true, because I don't know, who said it and what acts he might have to grind, because you know how local guys can, you might not answer, go did an interview, and now you trashing the guy. So I'm not saying that was the case. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that was the case or it wasn't the case. But I will say that I don't know if y'all remember Dexter Manley, a great defensive player from the 80s. Mm-hmm. He couldn't read it all.
Correct.
And was a Pro Bowler.
Correct.
They come to find out after he's in the NFL for years that it took him coming out to admit that he couldn't read. You know what I'm saying? But he made it to a Pro Bowl level. And also, like, I'm not going to say that just because somebody that's the reporter that's not, directly with the team, it could be true, because shout out to the Junkies. Back when Donovan McNabb went to Washington, they broke the story that he didn't know the playbook and had to use a wristband to know what plays to call. And that was all, shot down because it was just some radio guys. That came out to be true as well. So, I'm not going to say it is true, but I'm not going to discount it either.
Yeah, my understanding of it, like I said, when I saw the post about it, the reporter wasn't trying to trash him. He was actually trying to sympathize and say, look, these are the challenges that Caleb and Ben Johnson are facing. They're trying to figure out how to get on one accord. Now, you make the statement about McNabb, that might be in play for the Bears here, because it might be simpler to put the plays on a wristband for him and let him just go no huddle. And instead of calling out the whole play, we're doing number 4.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then you simplify it in a way where he doesn't have to articulate the play. And then if you have the receivers, because you get a lot of receivers and they don't highlight it enough, a lot of receivers keep a wristband on them too. When they're carrying the waistband pouch and all that, a lot of times they'll pull the waistband pouch out to see what the play is when you go no huddle offense. So there's a way that they can do it, and they may just have to trust them a little bit more and say, look, we're going to go no huddle, and that way you don't have to get in the huddle and articulate the plays. We're just going to start feeding you numbers and specific things on a play call, on a play sheet, and then you articulate it to everybody else just based off the number. You know what I'm saying? It might be something like that, but it's something to keep an eye on. Like you said, Trip, Yahoo's reporting it as well, and it's something that I think we got to keep an eye on the next few weeks to see if anything comes from that. Again, shout out to all the supporters, man. The comment section is buzzing tonight. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sanchez Show as well as Real Fans Real Talk. We'll be back on Monday with a very special guest. Ron, let's see. Ron wants to know, is it time for the Dolphins to move on from Tyreek Hill? Will, let me know what you're thinking.
Nah. Now, I heard there's some new allegations going on. Have y'all heard anything about? Do y'all know the what's behind the allegations first?
Domestic violence that's being reported
again.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get him out. Get him up out of here. He hasn't really been productive to the level that you would think that he would be in Miami. Now you can attribute that to a few different things. You know, contribute that to their offensive line being shaky. You can attribute that to it might be time to put him on put 2 week notice back out. You know what I'm saying? Because
2 week notice.
It might be time to put in that 2 week notice because he's looking shaky. And is he worth the bad attention and the trouble that comes with it? And right now he's not. He hasn't had a 30-yard catch in 2 years now? Did I see that stat? He hasn't had a 30-yard catch in over a calendar year, something like that. So if Tyreek Hill's not stretching the field, then what is he? What is he a threat to stretch the field? Like, the whole situation down in Miami, it just seems like they might need to just rethink that whole situation. I'm talking at quarterback. I'm talking the receivers. I mean, Waddle's solid, but outside of him, I don't really see anything to write home about.
But Waddle's another guy he's always hurt.
That's the thing. But
yeah,
he's a solid player, you know, and you don't really hear any trouble out of him. So he's somebody you might want to keep around. But they every year they're shifting a lot of important parts of their team. Like they have no consistency there in Miami. So really, if you ship off Tyreek, are you making your team worse? I can't say you are.
No, because you gotta. I mean, at this point for the Dolphins, I think it's more so about preparing for the future now. Even outside of the domestic violence, situation, however that plays out. Let's just say the situation goes away, and Tyreek Hill is not in any type of trouble. He can go on playing. Everything is fine, right? Are the Dolphins even realistically a legitimate threat to make the playoffs? Probably not. So you might want to. Not even might. You should be looking to trade Tyreek Hill now so you can get the highest value that you're going to get for him right now. Because the longer you wait, that trade value starts to go down, and you could probably get a first and a second for Tyreek Hill right now from a contending team, from a Chiefs. I think the Chiefs would give you a first and a second right now, and would love to bring Tyreek Hill back. Buffalo might want to give you a first and a second for Tyreek Hill. A couple of teams. NFC teams too, that might give you a first and a second for Tyreek Hill, so his trade value is high. And another part of that is Tua. I don't think he's going to get any better at this point. I think the injuries, the concussions, I think it's just caught up to him, and he's going to be the quarterback that he is right now. I think that's who Tua is going to be. So,
agreed.
Tua is who he is. As a Colts fan, I watched that game last week. Tua was rattled from the first time he got hit in that game. You look at some of the throws he made and, the interception, he's overthrowing guys. They're defenders that are just reading his eyes. Like the one interception he threw to Cam Bynum, he eyed down the receiver for at least 3 seconds. Where if the throw would have actually been on the money, the underneath safety would have picked it all. But because it sailed on Cam Bynum, just caught the one in his chest, just for being in the spot. But I think the reason I say it's time to move on from Tyreek, I don't think their relationship has healed since last season. He made them comments at the end of the season. He sounded like he really didn't want to be there. I don't think the relationship is right. I think Mike McDaniels is about to get fired anyway. There just seems to be a lot going on in Miami right now. And to Will, your original statement, like you said, he hasn't been as productive as they thought. He looked good that first year. He caught a lot of deep passes, and they looked explosive that first year. And it hasn't really translated beyond that 1 year. And for Tyreek, he's a guy that his real impact is stretching the field. If he's not stretching the field, he's not doing anything else. He's not running no underneath routes. He's not making no tough catches in traffic. It's all about him being able to take the top off the defense. And if he can't do that, then he becomes useless to you. Now, if he goes somewhere else, if he goes to the Chargers, if he goes to Buffalo, if he goes back to Kansas City, he goes somewhere with a quarterback that can get him the ball, then maybe he becomes that threat again. But right now, as long as he's in Miami and Tua is sailing passes and Tua is dealing with injuries and Jalen Waddle's injured, it just ain't worth it to be paying him top dollar, again, for a guy that just can't produce at the level you want him to produce at.
Yeah.
Now, if they trade him, I need him to go to the NFC or to us. I'll kill all that back to Kansas City talk. I ain't trying to hear none of that. Let's just be clear. I don't need him back in Kansas City.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if the Ravens got him either.
Yeah, I mean,
get him about the AFC. Get him about the AFC. Send him to Green Bay or. Actually, that'd be a perfect spot for him.
I was going to say, yeah, that would be a really.
That'd be a perfect spot for him. It's the Packers. Because they ain't really. Their receivers won't.
They got young receivers, but they don't have a true number one.
Yeah, that would really make them a little.
I think that'd be the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that might be the spot right there. I think the Chargers would be a great spot for them too.
They just gave the picks to get Micah Parsons actually, so they ain't gonna.
Yeah, but honestly, do you think Tyreek gets a number one?
I don't know if he gets a first though.
Yeah, I don't think he gets. I don't think he gets a one.
I guess we got to see what the trade value is. I don't know. I think he can still get a first from somebody though. Because he did go for over 1,000 yards last season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think receiver is one of the positions that you can find talent in every round. So a team trading for him isn't going to be crazy to want to give up the first. It's like, nah, you would have to be super desperate. I think you would have to be super desperate to say, I'm going to give up a first round pick for him.
When he went to Miami, when he went to Miami, he wasn't a free agent, right? That was a trade, right?
That was pretty much a sign and trade because he was going to be up for the new contract that the Chiefs didn't want to give him anyway.
What did they give up? I mean, I know that was younger Tyreek. It's coming off Super Bowl's Tyreek.
The Chiefs built that Super Bowl team behind that Tyreek Hill trade. For them to come back on the second run, that was all them draft picks. That's how they got their defense younger.
I believe Trent McDuffie, I believe, is one of the picks from that trade. Let me look back.
They give up any ones?
I'm going to look back right now.
And like I said, there was younger Tyreek coming off Super Bowls, but I'm trying to think of receivers that have been traded recently and what was the compensation.
At that time, so Tyreek was set to get a new contract. This was right before the draft as well. Tyreek gets a 4-year, $120 million contract. The Chiefs end up getting a first round, a second round, 2 fourths, and a 6.
God damn.
Mm-hmm. They got Rasheed Rice in that from them draft picks. And
I believe I'll say Rasheed Rice and either McDuffie or Karlowski. One of those. One of those guys came from that trade.
And go ahead.
It was McDuffie. That's what they got in that trade. They got McDuffie, Sky Moore, Darian Kennard, and Rasheed Rice in that with those draft picks.
Now fast forward to the Tyreek, a few years later and less productive. I think those ones are gone. I think a 2 is realistic. But I can see a couple, a 2, 3, in that mid range, a couple in that mid range area. But I think one's off the table. Plus, he's getting a little older,
He's 31 years old. I don't think you get a first. Yeah, I can see a 2. Again, if you're already a playoff team, a 2 is really you picking in the 50s anyway.
Yeah.
Right. If you're the Chargers, if you're Buffalo, if you're Baltimore, a team that's going to win 9, 10, 11 games, be in the playoffs, your second round pick is really going to be somewhere in the range of like the mid to late 50s anyway. So you don't mind giving up that value for Tyreek Hill. Like I said, a 1 is a lot. You would have to be super desperate. But let's move on. Let's see what else we got. Tito wants to know, are the Jaguars using Travis Hunter correctly? Trip, what do you think?
I think it's too early to tell. I honestly gotta see. Let me get to week 8. Let's get halfway through the season so I can see, because great week 1, not everything goes according to plan. guys are still getting the chemistry down as far as on the offense, and then to pick the spots to put him in when they are going to put him in on the defensive side of the football. I think is going to take a little bit of a time for them to really develop the game plan on both sides of the football. So ask me again midway point of the season.
Will?
I don't think they're using him right. And I'm a borrow from Rex Ryan. I saw him on a clip on Instagram the other day, and I agree 1,000% with the way they're using him, because I thought this coming into the league, with him coming into the league, if you're going to play him on both sides of the football, you're going to have a regular receiver and a regular corner. But if you play him on one side of the football, you can have an outstanding receiver or you can have an outstanding corner. If you're just going to have a regular dude on both sides of the ball, then you wasted moving up to number 2. Yep. You wasted the pick to move up, and you wasted the pick you used on him. You didn't use that pick to have Terry McLaurin as a ceiling. Or I mean, or on the other side of the ball, or on the other side of the ball as a regular ass corner. You didn't pick him at number 2 to be a regular dude on both sides. So you need to specialize him on either side of the football and let him just do that. It was cute and it was a great story and all that in Colorado and coming into the league. This is the big boys, man. If you're not going to be great on both sides of the football, so pick a side and be great at that. Until they do that, I think they are using him way wrong. Like last week, he played 44 snaps on offense and 6 on defense.
Mm-hmm.
He had 6 catches. I think the yards was small, like 33 yards.
Yeah.
So it was all underneath stuff. And then he had 1 tackle on defense in the 6 plays. So what are we really trying to do? 6 plays on defense. Why? Was it situational?
He wants to play both sides of the football. That was like his thing coming in. I don't know if he's like it got into the era of the coaches and GM to just let him get some snaps off just to keep him happy. But 44 snaps on offense is still enough for you to have a pretty good game. So that's what I said. I want to see how this thing plays out. It's one game, because if he would have came in and played the 6 snaps on defense, but had them 6 catches, went for 100 yards and a touchdown, then would you say, would you still be feeling that way, the way you feel?
I would, because I think if he comes in for a couple plays on defense and makes 1 tackle, when on offense, if he's shining like that, why do you need him to come in to make 1 play on defense? I need him to keep that shit going on offense, because on defense now you what you say?
I said because they need help in that secondary. That's why.
Well, yeah, but I don't need. But if he's putting up, and we're talking hypothetical, but if he's putting up 100-yard games at receiver, I don't need him risking a shoulder injury trying to tackle Derrick Henry the next week. You know what I'm saying?
But the problem is going to come in when you get an interception, because then they're going to really want him to stay on defense. Once you get that first pick, they're going to want him to play a little bit more defense too.
And that's mostly the part of the allure, is they want to see what he does with the football after he gets a pick. When truth be told, a lot of guys, when they make picks, they can make plays. Just because he plays receiver doesn't mean that he's going to do something extra special. Like a lot of guys, when they get their hands on the football, can make plays taking it the other way. So a lot of what they're doing down in Jacksonville for the last few years hasn't made a lot of sense.
Right.
So I'm not going to act like this is supposed to make sense, because they don't have a history of such.
I'm gonna tell you why, and I 1,000% agree with you, Will, and what Rex has said as well. If you're the Jaguars, you drafted them, and even if you were thinking about, before you think about drafting them, my plan would have been, or my perspective on it and approach would have been, all right, so give me the packages, or how do you plan on using them? What type of packages are you using? He played 44 snaps. As you guys were talking, I was looking it up, right? He played the 44 snaps on offense. He was targeted 8 times on passing attempts. He had the number 1 targets last week, which means he was on the field. Y'all were trying to force him the ball when you guys were throwing the ball, right? If that's how you were going to treat it, if you're going to say, hey, look, when he's on the field, he's our primary target, then create 15 to 20 packages for him, and that's when you just bring him on the field. Because I don't need him out there blocking for Travis Etienne. I don't need him out there as a decoy, and then like Will says, then you get blown up blocking, or you get blown up coming across the middle of the field, and now you're out for 2 to 3 weeks, and now you're never the same player. I'd rather just have a package for you and say, look, we got 15 to 20 plays that we might call for you, and if you're on the field, you're the number 1 target. But other than that, I'd rather you be on defense. We all know that a playbook is too extensive for you to think you're going to learn both sides of the ball. You're not going to learn both sides of the ball. There's too many installs during the middle of the week that change up the packages offensively and defensively for you to keep up. You're never going to get enough reps on both sides. You're never going to get reps with the one offense and with the one defense. You're going to have to figure out a side. So I think you're better off putting him on defense, let him play corner as his primary position. Say we got 15 to 20 packages for you, quote unquote, gadget plays, where we bring you in on offense and you become the focal point of the offense. And then we go from there. And if you're able to break a couple plays every game, great. But I'd rather you be on defense where I think you can have a larger impact than, we just got you out there floating around. He played 44 plays on offense. They passed, like I said, they had 29 pass attempts total. I got to see how many of those total when he was actually on the field. So even if they passed every time he was on the field, right? Or let's say all 29 snaps, again, only 8 targets went your way. So we got you out there. What are we doing? Or like, really, are we just running the risk of you getting blown up from across the middle, or your ankles getting rolled up on because you're blocking for our running back?
Well, we can see his target share. How many footballs did
He had 8 targets.
How many footballs did Sunshine throw?
29.
So he got about a 30% target share?
30% target share. But I'm saying he played 44 total snaps, right? So now even if he was on the field for every pass attempt, let's say all 29 pass attempts happened when he was on the field, you still got another 15 times they were out there on the field that they just ran the ball. He didn't have to be on the field.
Yeah. Listen, would y'all, and as we've been talking about, this is what I've kind of thought about how he could be used on the field. Would you have drafted, and I already know the answer is no, would you have drafted Percy Harvin number 2 overall?
No.
At best, that if you put him on offense only, at best, I think you get Percy Harvin. Where he can do damage at receiver, underneath in the slot. You can sling it to him out of the backfield pause, or you can run jet screens, reverses. He can be effective in that kind of way, in a lot the way that Percy Harvin was, or you can even throw him back there on teams, because once he gets his hands on the football, they want to see what he can do. That's what you get. I think that's really, if you concentrate on offense, that's your ceiling for him is a Percy Harvin type dude. And that's not what you want to draft at the number 2 pick. That's not what you're giving up a future first to move up to draft.
Yeah, that's
so in the long term, it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna work out bad for them, because they're gonna expect a bigger return than what they're gonna get from him because of what they foolishly gave up for him, which is not his fault. He didn't draft himself.
Right. No, you're right. I think, and that's a great point. The hype was so crazy that they fell in love with the hype as opposed to the player coming in. Even at his best, even if he commits full time to just play receiver, do you think he's really built to be a number 1 receiver in the league?
No, he's too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think he's built to be a true number 1 in the league. So drafting him at number 2 really made no sense at that point. That's one of them where it's like, we love the player, we love the athleticism, but to take him at 2, I don't think it makes much sense there. Unless you're saying, hey, you're going to play defense for 50 to 60 snaps purely at corner, and then we got gadget plays that we built in for you. Now, maybe that changes this week. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they go into this week 2 matchup and they say, all right, we're gonna scale back some of the offense. They play Cincinnati. Cincinnati doesn't have a great defense. Maybe he has a great impact early in that game and they don't have to use him as much on offense. But I think they're gonna have to find that right balance, because I think he could just be much more impactful if he's playing defense primarily with sprinkles of offense. You know what I'm saying? Hey, go out there again. We got some plays for you. There's an opportunity to get down the field and do some things. But if we just using you to run drags and comeback routes and all that, what's the point? We treating you like if you're a primary offensive player, and that's not who you are. It makes no sense. And then to be out there for 6 defensive plays, like this defense ain't good enough for you to moonlight as a part-time cornerback.
No.
They don't.
So that we got to see how that goes. Shout out to Tito on that one, man. What else we got here before we start getting to some of these picks, man? Tito wants to know, is this a must-win game for the Cowboys? They got the Giants. I hate talking must-win in week 2, but go ahead, Will.
You throw it in my lap there. Pause.
You gotta relax.
So is it a must win? Nobody wants to start out with 2 division losses. So if it's a must win for the Cowboys, it's a must win for the Giants too. Because they lost to Washington last week. You know what I'm saying? So is it a must win for the Cowboys? No, because they're gonna see each other again.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? And it's week 2. If we talking week 8 and they both struggling, then maybe. But week 2, when the Giants lost also to a division foe, I mean they going either way. Whoever loses is going to be a half game up on the other one. Or you know what I'm saying? So it ain't really a big deal right now. I'll get to who I think is going to win when we do the picks. But is it a must win? Absolutely not.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I think it's a must lose. I think because neither one of these teams is gonna make the playoffs, so it's a must lose. So your ass get the better.
You already looking at the draft. We ain't even to the week 2 Thursday game, and you looking at the draft already.
They not ready for prime time just yet. They not. I'm sorry.
We ain't even turned the clocks back yet, and Trip already talking about take it away. Take it away.
The Giants got a defensive line and a wide receiver. Everything else, get them out of there.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that game last week, and because I thought y'all were gonna look a little better than you did. But on that, Trip, are you ready? Let me get in the comment section real quick, Trip. Are you ready to keep playing Russell, or are you ready to see the young boy? Are you ready to see Crabman come in? Who you trying to see a quarterback right now as a Giants fan?
First of all,
if you're not trying to lose, if you weren't trying to lose.
If the Giants was going to, even though, I would have liked for them to draft Shador, right? But if the Giants was going to trade back into the first round, I would have rather them trade back and get a position player. And then y'all could lose again this year. You got Russ. You could lose again this year and then draft Arch or the other kid, you know what I mean, in next year's coming draft. Because you traded back to trade for a quarterback. And then if he's not good, then it's like you just wasted a first-round draft pick on another quarterback who you just got up out of here, who just had a masterpiece of a game for Eric's Colts. But so that would have been another first-round draft pick you wasted on a quarterback.
Yep.
And that's what I said about the Jackson Dart pick. The Jackson Dart pick to me made no sense because immediately after they drafted him, everyone in the organization said, well, this is a long-term project. This kid is probably 2 years away from being ready. Which means you knew you were going to be picking top 5 again the following year. Why would you take a quarterback that's a project piece, knowing that you're probably going to be picking top 5 again next year? For that, load up on weapons. Go get another offensive player. Go get another defensive player. Just load up or go get a lineman.
They could have got another wide receiver.
The left tackle that's starting for the Chiefs, they drafted him late in the first round. We just saw the Giants' O-line look like fucking trash on Sunday.
Yeah.
They could have used the lineman. So the Giants, they don't know what they're doing. Brian Daboll might be out of there very soon.
What they really need, and it's weird because they're hard to find, but what they really could use is an explosive running back.
Yeah, but I think their issue is they got their play calling. There's not type of team they have. Russell Wilson was back there, dropping back, looking down the field when the O-line can't hold it for 2 seconds.
I'm just saying that need of an explosive running back comment kind of went over y'all's head.
I know you're talking about Saquon. But guess what? When they had Saquon, what was their ceiling, Will? They was winning 5 or 6 games anyway.
But you know what? You had them. You still should.
When they had him, they wasn't even in playoff contention. They had 1 playoff season with Saquon. So I don't think Saquon changes anything for them because the rest of the team and the way they were built was so bad. Again, their offensive line is terrible. They've mismanaged this quarterback situation. Like Tripp said, I'm not a fan of Daniel Jones, even though he's a quarterback for the Colts. I'm not a fan of this. But at the same time, they had opportunities to move on from Daniel Jones, and they didn't. They waited too long to move on from Daniel Jones.
They waited till the last, like, he played out his whole contract, right? His whole
contract and got into the second contract.
That's crazy.
My thing is, if you were going to just trade him, then you should have traded him before you gave him that contract and paid Saquon Barkley his damn money.
Well, the issue they ran into is he was in that contract year the year y'all made the playoffs. And so they were going to be fucked either way. If you let him walk after you just made the playoffs, the second round of the playoffs, it's like, all right, who's our alternative? Because there wasn't much out there for you to go get. If you sign him, you're hoping that he builds on the year he had before. This is why we talk about all the time, teams being able to lock up their players early. Don't wait till they get to that contract year, because when they get in that contract year, if they ball out, now you put yourself in a lose-lose situation where it's like, now I got to pay you based off this 1 year's performance, even though I knew the prior 4 years weren't that good, even though the reason we're waiting now is because the other years weren't that great. But because you showed up in this moment, now we've got to pay you based off this moment. Now, back to the way the Giants drafted, to your point, Shador was right there. If I'm going to take a young quarterback, I'd rather take somebody who's a little bit more pro-ready as opposed to a guy who's a long-term project, because this is what you went through with Daniel Jones. When you drafted Daniel Jones, you knew he wasn't ready to be a day one starter.
Exactly.
And it took you a few years to realize, all right, the kid is never going to develop. We got to move on from him. It's terrible management by the Giants. I will say this, though, in regards to the question from Tito. I don't think it's a must-win for the Cowboys, because none of us up here expect the Cowboys to be a playoff team. Must-win implies that they can't start 0-2 because it would derail their season. They're not making the playoffs. At very best, even with Michael Parsons before the trade, I think their ceiling would have only been 9 wins anyway. Without Michael Parsons, we know they're not going to be that good of a team. The defense is trash. The offense isn't good. I mean, the offense just got a quarterback and 2 receivers, but the O-line isn't good. They don't run the ball well. If we want to get into the picks right now, I think this game is going to be close between the Giants and Cowboys. You're talking about a team who can't get to the quarterback in the Cowboys against a team who can't block for their quarterback anyway. This might turn into a shootout because neither one of these defenses is really that good. The Giants can get to the quarterback, but they can't cover on the back end. Pause. So CD and Pickens might go for 100 yards in this game.
Yeah.
I got to double back real quick, though, on one thing you said, Eric.
What's that?
When you said the Giants weren't winning with Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't give up a Super Bowl caliber talent just because the rest of the guys ain't ready. And I look at it like this: it's because he wanted to stay, right? Tripp, didn't he want to stay there?
I don't know.
But they wouldn't give him it back.
I don't know if he wanted to stay.
Well,
I don't blame Saquon, but I don't think he really wanted to stay.
He didn't make that vote.
Contract he was going to stay before he realized. We're talking about, let's say 3 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you could have first started to resign him, he wanted to stay with state of New York. Even 2 years ago, if they would have did the right thing, he would have took that contract and stayed with the Giants. But BSing around.
The year they made the playoffs, they offered him a contract, and he turned it down. He wanted more guaranteed money. I'm not saying he's wrong for that. He wanted more money. Then they had the bad season. They had the bad season coming off that. The Giants, I think their offer was somewhere in the range. It was on Hard Knocks. They was somewhere in the range of like 3 years, $35 million, something like that. It was like a couple $1 million off from Philly's deal. Philly offered a little bit more money, and I think a little bit more guaranteed money. But that the Giants were in the neighborhood. They were in that range of 30
but if
something
they
million.
gave him the contract he wanted, he was staying with the Giants.
Yeah. I think at one point he did want to stay. Don't get me wrong, but I think when it got to that point at the end, when it was like, yo, the team is bad. I'm out here taking a beating. Pause. Like Saquon, they were using Saquon like a workhorse. And when you're looking at the teams around you, it's like, yo, bro, he pretty much was early Barry Sanders. Where it's like we ain't got much else. Like look at the quarterbacks we playing. Look at the guys at receiver. We don't have much.
I still think though, if Brian Daboll came correct, then he'd still be a New York Giant, which they did not come correct. Which we all know, and it's been documented in many platforms.
Again, they were the money he wanted. It wasn't going to work out. No way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say that he was 100% committed to staying, because I think he was at a point too where he was just frustrated with the organization. You could hear it in the conversations.
At the end, but had they given him the contract that he wanted, he would have been the Giants.
But that's what I'm saying. They offered him a contract before he even got to that point, and he turned it down.
Yeah, but once he said, I want 14 million a year,
and they paid the quarterback.
He's worth it. He's worth the 14.
Yeah, he was worth it. Yeah, exactly. And my whole point was just because, if that's not what you were saying, Eric, then my bad. But if just because the team ain't good, you don't let him walk. You don't let like you can let other guys walk. You don't let a guy like that walk. That's like saying say you got a fine girl, right? Fine as hell. She ready to rock with you or whatever. She just happy if you give her the ring, but you gonna give her up because you can't buy the house yet. But she's happy if you just put a ring on her finger. So what if you ain't got the house yet? She good with you, and you gonna say, nah, you know what? I can't get you the house yet, so I'm gonna let you go because I can't buy the house. I know all you want's the ring, but I ain't got the house yet. That's what it's like. You saying like, well, I'm gonna let you go because we ain't ready to win the Super Bowl yet, so I'm gonna let you walk. No, you. Especially when all he wanted was the bag.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't.
It was being cheap. That was just really it. They were just being cheap. They didn't want to spend that money.
To me, I view it like there was a bunch of dynamics in play because on the surface, we could say, all right, the Giants wasn't going to win with him anyway, right? If we just going to keep it as simple as possible, the Giants were not going to win with him whether they paid him or not. Whether he took the contract they offered him or they matched what the Eagles gave, they weren't going to win with him. That's the simplest form to put it. But if we want to get more complex into what was taking place around the team, there was a lot of moving parts there because Daboll and Sheen, the GM that came in, took over a situation that was left behind by the prior general manager. Daniel Jones was never their quarterback. They didn't draft him. They didn't want Daniel Jones. They came into a situation where Daniel Jones was there. Daboll did the best he could coaching up Daniel Jones. They make the playoffs that first year. I promise you, if we could sit in a room with Brian Daboll and no microphones, nothing, be like, tell us honestly what you wanted. He probably would tell you, I hope we were shit that first year so we could have moved on from Daniel Jones. But we were too good that first year and we had to pay Daniel Jones. Yeah. And so but once we paid Daniel Jones, they handcuffed us because if we would have paid Saquon, then that puts us in a tough position where we already gave all this money to Daniel Jones. We're giving this money to Saquon and we know we're not good enough to be a playoff team. We just happen to have a good season that now forced our hand. Every GM will tell you, you come into a building, unless you're fortunate to walk into a situation like with the Chargers where you got your franchise quarterback. Most GMs go into a situation like, yo, that's not my quarterback. That's not the guy I want, so that's not the guy we're going to keep. We're going to move on from him.
But the problem is that because the Giants waited so long, you couldn't even get no type of compensation.
Right, they went a situation. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that when Daboll and them came in, they came in right before it was time to renew that contract.
Yeah.
It was a tough situation for them. Listen, we almost an hour in, so let's get to some of these picks. Shout out to the comment section. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sanchez Show as well as Real Fans Real Talk. We'll be back on Monday. I see Jay Herbo peeking over your shoulder.
Yeah, I was gonna say I gotta bring him in. He had my back. He had my back last week, so I brought him in for the pick section. So he had my back.
We're back on Monday, 7 p.m. and again next Wednesday, 7:30, the Sanchez Show. We go through every pick of the week. We're gonna start with the Thursday night game this week. Will, you're gonna go first. As I mentioned, you went 13-3 last week. You was on motherfucking fire, man. You on fire.
My right-handed guy, I didn't even know that till you told me. For real. But
you were on fire, bro.
Thursday night, I like the Packers. I think they got something going on there. They're a team that looks like they're serious about trying to win football games. I know everybody's saying, "Oh, the Micah Parsons trade showed you that they were serious," but they were already making moves prior to that. That was showing. I mean, the defense was already solid, and they outside of a receiver, which is. They've got talented receivers that they're very inconsistent. They got a bunch of guys that make the tough catches, but not the easy ones. I hate those and they got 3 of them. But what they've been able to do on the defensive side of the ball, leading up to this point, and adding a game record like Micah Parsons, I think a team like Washington is not prepared for the amount of pressure that defense is going to put on them this week. When you look at Washington, they had a good outing last week against Tripp's Giants, but I know Tripp, you watched that game close. I think a lot of the plays that were made by Washington were more so mistakes by the Giants defense than great plays by the Washington offense. They just happen to take advantage of bad defensive play. But in this game coming up against an upstart team like Green Bay, Micah Parsons is a player that gave Jaden Daniels hell even in winning efforts last season. Micah Parsons was in that backfield all day. I don't see anything changing. I like Green Bay in this game. I could see a score something like I don't see it being like a shootout or anything like that. I could see it being like a 24-17, 23-16 type outing. I don't think it's going to be a shootout, but I do think Green Bay is going to come out with the dub.
Trip, you took the Commanders tomorrow night. Why do you like the Commanders?
I don't know. I just feel like they're gonna go in there and get a win on the road. Something's telling me that. I know we was talking about this game a lot last week, based off of who would be the bigger threat to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. And I think this is gonna be one of those games where Washington makes a statement. I don't think it's gonna be no. I don't think it's gonna be a shootout either. I do think it's gonna be a close game, but I just got Washington winning.
Yeah, so I'm going based off the spread. I'm taking the Commanders in the 3.5. I do expect the Packers to win. I would not be surprised if it's a last-second field goal or they hold on late. A couple of things here. Will, I do agree with you with the self-inflicted mistakes that the Giants had. I just don't think the Packers are going to play that poorly. I also don't think the Packers' offensive line is as bad as the Giants. We saw last week. They made the Commanders' defense look like they were the 85 Bears. They won't look that good this week. So Jordan Love will have some moments to throw against this secondary. But it's a short week, and I also think the Packers came off an emotional win. I know it was a division game, but whenever you're playing a team that's kind of bullied your division the last couple of years and you get a chance to get them opening day and you feel it's your time, to me, I got the impression last week that was an emotional win for Green Bay. So I wouldn't be surprised on a short week if there's just a little bit of a letdown. They still win, but I think the Commanders covered the 3.5. That's what I like on that one. Let's get to the Sunday slate. Will, you said you got Dallas being the Giants, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I got Dallas winning.
You got Dallas beating the Giants, but you got a game here I wanted to ask you about. Hold on.
Actually, you wanted to tell me because I lost my list.
I got you right here.
All right.
You got Dallas beating the Giants. You got the Rams beating the Titans. You got Pittsburgh beating Seattle. Let's go Pittsburgh, Seattle.
Yeah. The Steelers ain't losing the home opener. It was that simple.
Got you.
That's all I was adding. That they ain't losing their home opener, especially after that.
You like Pittsburgh as well. Is there anything y'all saw last week from Aaron Rodgers that made y'all think, all right, this is the missing piece?
Listen,
but definitely feasible in an upgrade. If he's gonna play like he did in week 1, he'll definitely be an upgrade from anything they had at quarterback in a couple of years.
Listen, I told Eric we texted Sunday morning, and I told you he ain't washed. Eric, full disclosure, you said he was washed that morning.
I still think he washed.
And then he promptly went out and put up. He went out and threw what 4?
He threw 4 touchdowns. I still think he washed. That was the emotional game. The emotional game against your former team.
Come on, you think he's worried about the damn Jets? You think that's an emotional game for him?
You didn't hear.
It's not like it's against
that was a payback game for him. No, he definitely.
He said it himself. He said it himself in the press conference.
All right, so listen, he's not done. The Steelers always are in the mix with trash at quarterback, and when you give Mike Tomlin somebody with the capability of Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a problem in that division.
This is going to be a good test for them because Seattle's defense is good.
I just like the home opener coming off the high of last week. I know that's it. I was just in Pittsburgh last Tuesday. I know how they rock for them Steelers. And opening week, they're not going to lose to a team that has to come all the way from Seattle the opening week. I don't care what the line is. I don't care who Seattle bringing to town. Steelers, put your money on the Steelers.
I'm telling you, I like Pittsburgh right now is favored by 2.5. I like Seattle to cover that. I think they even win that. Seattle last week We talked about self-inflicted wounds. They had 2 terrible plays against the 49ers, really 3, but they had 2 last week that, to me, lost them that game. They winning early.
Get back game for Metcalf too. My bad. Go ahead.
It could be. Yeah, it could be the game for Metcalf. But last week, Seattle's winning early in the fourth quarter. Kenneth Walker fumbles. Sam Darnold is getting ready to throw his offensive lineman, bumps into him, he fumbles. And then the throw to the backup tight end when Purdy's scrambling around and he just kind of throws up a miracle. There were like 3 plays that cost Seattle last week that, to me, Seattle was the better team. They just was on the wrong end of the bounce of the football in that matchup. I think Seattle's defense is really good. This is going to be a good test because the Jets were able to get some pressure on Aaron Rodgers last week. I think Seattle's going to be able to get some pressure as well this week. That's why I like Seattle to cover the 2.5. That's one of the better games of this first 1 p.m. slot. Trip, I'm going to go to you on this one. Baltimore hosting Cleveland. We all got Baltimore to win that game. I think if you're gambling on this game, I think you just put not only there's a slot where you can put how much you think the team's going to win by. The Ravens going to win by 20 plus. The Ravens are going to be so pissed off about what happened on Sunday night.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the shit out of Joe Flacco. Yeah, they're going to beat the shit out of Joe Flacco.
Hey, that's a get-back game for Flacco.
Oh, yeah.
Get-back games all across the board, baby. Flacco might come out and torch them boys, man.
This is revenge Sunday.
It's get-back games all across the slate.
I'm telling you right now, I'm putting money on the Baltimore Ravens to win by at least 20 in this game.
Damn, 20 in the NFL is crazy,
bro.
Get there, they're gonna be mad. They got a lot of shit to get off their chest. You know what I'm saying?
Will. I don't know if you still play Madden, but you ever had that game? Let's say Trip. There's sometimes when you're hanging out with your boys, you might be indulging a little. You know what I'm saying? Smoking the air, drinks. And your mans that never beat you, he get that one lucky win and he be talking shit like he got you. And in the next game, you gotta like, yo, I'm gonna fuck you up in this next game.
73-10.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck you up in this next game, just so you remember, bro. Like, don't ever disrespect me.
That's the next game you sit up.
Yeah, you sit all the way in the chair.
You sit up now. You're like, all right, hold on.
Everybody else in the room be trying to talk.
You sitting up, niggas still be sitting up on the bags when they get serious. Niggas still be sitting up.
Yeah, not right now. Nah. Don't talk to me right now.
Like that in 2K. I had lost in the finals, and I had to run back 4 straight just now because you know what I'm saying. Like it's different. I have to let them know. Right. You know what I'm saying. So you got to get to get back games.
You know when the Ravens threw on the tape Monday morning or yesterday morning, whatever day they put the tape on, and they're like, yo, I can't believe we didn't win, bro. Like we put up all the points. We had every opportunity to put that game where we did. Now we're gonna take out our frustration on the Browns.
But listen, don't be disrespectful. I mean, the Browns are going brown. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
but they should have won that game. I was in Cleveland Sunday. They should have won that game last week, bro.
Not only should they have won that game, it kind of made me really wonder if I even want to take the Bengals this week because.
But you know what?
I'm tired of making excuses for the Bengals, man.
But don't fret though, because the Bengals, this is my area. The Bengals always play the Browns horribly.
It's rivalry, yeah. It's rivalry.
Like they do not have good games. Like last year, first game against the Browns, I think Burrow was like 15 for 20 something for like 100 and some yards against the Browns. It's just what it is. I think like don't worry about anything about the Bengals. What you saw last week. They still gonna ball out, but it's just that rivalry is something about when teams know each other, those games are close. And Myles Garrett was there, wreaking havoc. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna judge the Bengals on what happened last week just because that's how Bengals Browns is always like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always like.
No, I get it. It just to me. If you're the Bengals, it was an opportunity to make a statement early. After last season, they went 9-8, but they had a slow start last season. Remember, they lost to the Patriots opening day last year. They heard all the talk about, can y'all really get it done? Can y'all get over the hump? Can y'all become a legitimate playoff team? We know about all the talent on offense. You You got one of the best quarterbacks. You probably got the best receiver in the game. You got all these weapons. And then you go out there, and Joe Burrow didn't even throw for 20 yards.
Yeah.
So I expected more from the Bengals. Now, I still like the Bengals this week. We can get into that game right now. I like the Bengals against the Jags just because, again, I don't think the Jags are good. The Jags beat the Panthers last week in a game where Bryce Young, people should be asking if Bryce Young is done, if he should be the quarterback. He had 2 bad turnovers. He had another turnover, a pick 6 that got called back on a penalty. Even with the Thunder delay, they was getting their ass blown out. Pause by the Jags.
Whoa.
That's why immediately I threw out the pause in there. But the Panthers were that bad. They made the Jags look good. Trip.
Yeah.
Bengals, Jags. You have the Bengals. I'm assuming there's nothing you feel that the Jags can do in this game.
No. At all.
There we go. Let's get to some of the marquee matchups, man. We're not even gonna waste time with some of these smaller games. What's some of the best matchups? Bears, Lions. I expect the Lions to have a comeback this week.
Yeah.
The Lions got embarrassed last week. They play the Bears. We just talked about Caleb. We just talked about could they get that offense going. I like the Lions in that game. Trip, you also like the Lions coming back. Will, I'm trying to see who you have. Oh, you got the Bears, Will.
I got the Bears. I got the Bears. I got the Bears. I think they're going to have a bounce back win.
So you got the Lions starting 1-2 this year.
Yeah, I do. I think this is going to be when you're really going to see who was really making things happen in Detroit this week. I think it's really Ben Johnson. Who knows that team better than Ben Johnson other than what's the Lions coach's name? I forget his name. Kneecaps.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, who knows the Lions better than Dan Campbell other than him? You know what I'm saying? The Lions offense looked atrocious last week. Why? Because the dude that had y'all humming, pause, is out of there. He's now in Chicago. He knows Jared Goff inside and out. He knows what he's good at. He knows what he's horrible at. So you think him and the defensive coordinator have not been scheming up some shit that's going to have Jared Goff seeing ghosts all day? Do you think that he does not know how to attack that defense because he was there in the building with them last year, and they haven't, they lost last week? I think this is going to be an embarrassment for Detroit, and I could see them losing by more than 10 points.
Ooh, so not only do you think the Bears win, you think double.
I think they embarrass them.
That's heavy talk.
I can see a 12-point win.
Man,
and I'm on my shit. I was 13-3, boys. So I'm on my shit. I'm feeling myself right now, folks. I'm gonna go ahead and rock with that right now. I'm seeing a double-digit win.
They can't even get that offense going. 12 is crazy.
Yeah.
Watch.
That's my only concern. One, I think the Lions got embarrassed in that game against the Packers. Like I said, that was kind of the emotional game for the Packers against the division champs. This is the home opener for the Lions. Yeah, much respect to Ben Johnson, everything he did there. But in the same regard, Dan Campbell knows exactly what Ben Johnson wants to do on offense. You know what I'm saying? They sat in a meeting room together. He saw the philosophy of that offense. So they're going to know how to attack it. And I just don't think the Bears are in the situation that they're not clicking in that way. I don't see them. They're going to have some drives, but I don't see them putting enough offense together where they could just blow out the Lions. I think this is, if anything, they probably win it on the last second field goal, and maybe their defense comes up with a couple key plays to keep them in it. But overall, I think the Lions get back. Jahmyr Gibbs did not have a good game last week. St. Brown didn't have the impact. I think this week on the turf at home, they're going to look to put on a show and kind of remind everybody, like, yo, we still the champs of this division. Especially coming off of, like I said, losing to the Packers. Depending on how the Packers look Thursday night, we might be looking at the division completely different by the end of week 2.
You know why they didn't have good games? Because they weren't schemed open. The timing was off. And they just looked bad offensively. Well, Ben Johnson is not there anymore. Ben Johnson is not. He's no longer there. And it showed. It showed.
How much stock should we put into? Because this was something I was thinking about the other day, right? Week 1, the schedules come out. You plan for a team for a month, right? From the time the schedules come out to when you actually play week 1, you done had a whole month to scheme for them. By week 2, it gets a little tougher because now new plays got implemented. It's very possible that Green Bay just schemed it up so well, knowing like, yo, we get them week one, we want to take certain things away. They did it, they accomplished their goal. But I don't know if other teams can duplicate what Green Bay did in that moment because Green Bay has that rare combination of being able to get to the quarterback. While I don't think the Bears have that. So that's where it becomes tough. Where you can say, yeah, in that situation, your timing was off and y'all look like y'all were struggling. But in this situation, you're playing a team that just doesn't have the personnel to match up.
Yeah.
Another get back game though. And like if you title this show, this should be the get back. Because here's another one. Because then you got the coaching situation. It's another get back game. I love this week. It's a lot of bad blood this week.
It's a lot of bad blood this week. The best game, I mean, the most highly profile game of the weekend. I don't want to call it the best game, but the most high profile game. Eagles at Chiefs. Trip, what you think, Trip? You got the Eagles. Will's got the Eagles. I got the Eagles.
Who's Patrick Mahomes going to throw the football to himself?
Yeah.
So, I don't think we need to say anything else. There's nobody for Patrick Mahomes to throw the football to. If the Chiefs, and I'm all for the Chiefs winning this game. I don't want the Eagles to get no wins. But if they could miraculously win this game, I'd say the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on what Tripp said. Who is he throwing? Travis Kelce? Is that what they supposed to be worried about? And we put out the blueprint last week because we have an elite safety in Derwin James. The Eagles have an elite safety in what's the white kid's name?
What white kid? Not Blankenship. You talking about Coop?
DeJohn, yeah.
Yeah, he plays. He didn't play last week.
Is he healthy this week? I
gotta double check. He was a scratch opening night. Let me see where they got him at this week.
Because he's playing.
He's playing.
Line him up on Kelce all day. Like DJ is able to do that. DJ, if y'all watched the game Friday, lined up against Kelce all but 2 snaps for the entire game.
Yeah.
And the one where Kelce got loose and snuck out on that wheel, on that touchdown, was one of the 2 plays that DJ went on him. If you got a safety, if you got an athletic safety, pull him up to the line and bully Kelce because he does not have that burst off the line anymore, and he has no wiggle. So you take him out, and plus, now Patrick Mahomes, I'm gonna give him all credit that's due. He's crazy. Like I thought we were about to get Mahomes last week again when he's vertical with parallel with the turf and hits that little completion. The only other completion I think was to Kelce. I thought we were about to get Mahomes again, but this week you're playing the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like if you were playing maybe the Raiders or Jacksonville or Tennessee or somebody like that, I'm still probably going to ride with the Chiefs just based off the strength of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. But you playing the Super Bowl champions, and you playing a team that's only gearing up to be better. And Jalen Carter's back.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to highlight.
Oh yeah, he's back. And he got some time to make up for last week. And shout out to the league for handling it correctly. I told my dudes at work, they said, he about to get suspended. I said, no, he didn't see one snap. That game, they're gonna treat that as a suspension.
Yeah.
The game handled that correctly. He's gonna be wrecking shit. That offensive line, I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. We need to send the offensive line, we need to send their families casseroles, catering trays, all that, because it's going to be ugly for them. They're gonna be mourning after Philly comes through and crushes all the buildings. It's gonna be ugly. I think it's gonna be ugly, and I want it to be ugly. I see the Eagles. I see this being like a 34-14 type game, 34-17 type event.
I agree, and I love Patrick Mahomes, but this is the only reason this line is 1 is because it's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
It's 1?
The line is
Easy
1.
money.
The only reason is because they're giving respect to Patrick Mahomes. We just watched their offensive line get beat up by the Eagles in the Super Bowl. They're going to be missing their guard, Trey Smith, for this game. So they're already missing somebody on the interior of that line who they need to try to help on Jalen Carter. They don't have Xavier Worthy. So now you're relying on, right now, your top 2 receivers is Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith. You're 1 and 2. They can't run the ball. Isaiah Pacheco has not looked right since he came back from that injury last year. They can't run the ball. So you can't run the ball, you can't block the Eagles up front, and you don't have a receiver who can stretch the field on this defense. This game could get really, really ugly very, very quickly. Yeah, this game could get ugly early. And I think, like I said, the only reason the line is 1 is because it's Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. Because if it was any other quarterback, I don't care that they're on the road, they would have had the Eagles easily favored by 6.5. They would have been favored by at least a touchdown in this game.
1 is insane, though.
No, right. One is ridiculous because, like I said, there's nothing that indicates that these teams are even closer, even to each other right now.
Don't be surprised if it's 14-0 in the first quarter.
Oh, I won't.
Oh yeah,
I won't. Because I just watched the Chargers move the ball up and down on their defense.
I'm talking about early in the first quarter too.
That's what I'm saying.
First 2 possessions.
Yeah, it might get ugly early.
They're gonna march to them like Selma.
The only thing that saves Kansas City in this game early is if their defense creates turnovers. If their defense can create turnovers early and give them short field and kind of keep them in the game and don't let Philly get a rhythm going, then they hang around. But if this is a clean game and Philly's not turning the ball over, Philly's going to be up 2 touchdowns early. They might be up 3 scores by halftime.
Is that a Sunday? Is that the Sunday night game?
No, it's the 4:00 game on Sunday.
Okay, good.
It's the 4:30 game, and I think, let me double check, because I think is that the Fox game? Yep, that's the Fox game at 4:30.
Oh, so that's the Tom Brady game.
That's the Brady and what's his name? Burkhardt, Kevin Burkhardt.
Is that who does the one? Yeah.
One other game I wanted to ask you about because there's injuries there. This San Francisco New Orleans game. Now San Fran on paper is better than the Saints, but Brock Purdy's not playing. They already said it's going to be Mac Jones. Kittle's out. Jawan Jennings looks like he's going to be out. Can the 49ers win that game? I know the Saints are bad, but you talking about you missing your starting quarterback, you missing your 2 best weapons on offense right now because Brandon Ayuk's still not back either. So Ricky Pearsall, it's going to be Ricky Pearsall. It's going to be a lot of Christian McCaffrey. Can the 49ers beat the Saints?
I still picked the 49ers.
Just off the coaching, right?
That, and I mean, they still got a couple of pieces out there. The Saints, I just didn't see nothing from. I just don't.
That I lean towards the 49ers mainly because of the coaching. I'm not trusting Kellen Moore and the fucking quarterback, whatever his name is. Will, I know you got the Saints, so you like the Saints again because of the circumstances.
It's Spencer.
And where's this game? Where they at?
New Orleans.
Yep. Saints all day. And I'm gonna say because of all those injuries, the Saints are not a good football team by any stretch of the imagination, but they are an NFL football team.
Right.
They're at home facing a team that's more than hobbled, coming in and flying across the country again. This is not setting up good for the 49ers.
Yeah, it's not.
It's just not. If they were at full strength or even half strength, they're not even at half strength right now. I'd probably pick the 49ers, but
they're still 2.5-point favorites.
They still 2.5-point favorites again because they're factoring in. There's a coaching discrepancy, obviously. Shanahan is a far greater coach than Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
The 49er defense is still a good defense. My main concern.
How good are they without Fred Warner though? Isn't he out?
Yeah, but the defense is still good enough. Bosa, they still got a good enough defense to make plays against the Saints.
I think you can see the Saints sneak this one though.
If the Saints get on them early though, if the Saints get a lead early, it gets tricky because then you got to rely on Mac Jones to throw the ball.
Yeah,
I could see. Yeah, like Mac. I could see a ugly 17-13 kind of game. Giving it to the home team.
All right, Trip, Will, both of y'all got the Broncos. I got the Colts in that game. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones, so this ain't got nothing to do with Daniel Jones. I really think just to start the season, the Colts might be what the Saints were last year. Remember when the Saints early last year was putting up a lot of points and they was 2-0 and everybody was surprised, and then they came back down to earth? I think that's what's going to happen. I think they just scheming up Daniel Jones really well. Last week, he didn't make a lot of risky throws. There wasn't a lot of throws down the field. Most of it was underneath stuff and running game. I would not be surprised they do the same thing again. And the thing that concerns me about the Broncos, the reason why I'm going against the Broncos in this pick, Bo Nix looked like trash last week. He turned the ball over 4 times. They should have lost that game.
He's better than that, though.
He is better than that, but I wonder if we're watching the beginning of a sophomore slump. We saw it last year with C.J. Stroud in that second year. I wonder if that's what's happening, where maybe they're putting a little bit too much on his plate because they want him to be the guy, and maybe he's not ready. But Will, go ahead.
I think what more so is happening in Denver is they're really trying to figure out that offense still. Mm-hmm. Because last season, at the quarterback position, you saw strides that weren't expected that early with Bo Nix. And they didn't have the pieces around them ready for a quarterback that was going to be that ready already. You know what I mean? I think they were still thinking that Bo Nix was going to be a year away from what he was able to do last season. Now, I say that because when you look around him, you have, his best playmaker on the edge is Cortland Sutton, who is a great. He people sleep on him because he doesn't, he doesn't do the flashy one-handed catches, and he's not a burner, and he's not 6'5", 225. He's not a Megatron type dude, and he's not loud and boisterous, and they play out in Denver. So a lot of people don't, you don't hear from him, but he's more than capable of taking on the load up paws of a number one receiver. But he's more than capable. Marvin Mims is a guy that can make plays. But what I think they're doing on offense in Denver is trying to figure out the run game.
Yeah.
You got a running back room with a rookie and RJ Harvey that I absolutely love. Remember my list last year, Eric? I had 4 late round guys that I was thinking that would be late round picks that could be impactful. He was one of them. And I think they're still trying to figure out how to implement him into the offense because they brought in J.K. Dobbins that, when healthy, can be a number one running back in your offense. And when you look at the load share last week, J.K. Dobbins got a bigger workload than than RJ did. Mm-hmm. So I still think they're trying to find the balance of the running game while still trying to complement that with the passing game, where if your running game isn't fluent, and you don't have those pieces where you're still trying to figure out what the flow is going to be based on which running back you have, that kind of takes away from the tempo as well as the timing of what your receivers can do. But I'm not worried about Denver. I think they're the biggest threat to the Chargers in the division.
I think the Denver defense is really good.
I think they're the best defense in the league.
You can make the case. I think their offense is going through a little something right now. We got to see now. Again, Bo Nix, and they might find a rhythm this week. They couldn't block last week. Maybe some of that is, again, getting that rhythm and that timing down with the running game and a rookie back there. But they just, to me, they look like they're a little bit off, and I would not be surprised if that continues this week. Lou Anarumo, his defense, what he brought with the Colts last week, I think that's legit, what you saw from the Colts defense, because they blitz more than I've seen the Colts blitz in a very long time. They were far more aggressive, and maybe that's just because of the additions they got in the secondary now. It's a more veteran secondary with Xavier Howard, with Charvarius Ward, with Cam Bynum, where they added more pieces, and now they could feel like we could be more aggressive with our front seven. But that, I think, will have an impact on the Broncos, and that's why I think the Colts win this game. I think it's still early enough where people haven't figured out what the Colts are doing, where they'll surprise the Broncos. What you think, Trip?
Well, I picked the Broncos because I think we're gonna see the real Daniel Jones this week.
That part.
That was pretty much. Yeah, I think that was cute. What we saw last week, but I think we see the real Daniel Jones this week.
Well,
Yeah, Sean Payton ain't losing to Daniel Jones.
If Daniel Jones shows up again, I got to start looking at Super Bowl tickets. I got to make sure I can make my way out there out west. It might be time. You know what I'm saying? We're not worried about the Chargers. If Daniel Jones plays like that again, we're not worried about the Chargers. We're not worried about the Chiefs. We're not worried about nobody. Let's get to the primetime games before we wrap up. The primetime games actually pretty good this week. Let's start with Sunday night. Trip, you're gonna kick this one off. Atlanta at Minnesota. Trip, I know you got the Vikings. Give me your predictions for this game. How this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Atlanta. I think Minnesota's just gonna run up the numbers on them. I think it's gonna be a lot of Justin Jefferson all day. They ain't gonna be able to do nothing with him. I think it's just going to be pretty easy for Minnesota.
Will, you got the Falcons. They found another way to blow a game last week. I don't know how they didn't take advantage of the other Tampa Bay Bucks who were banged up and missing some guys. But you like the Falcons to bounce back this week. Why is that?
I do, because I think what you're going to see out of Minnesota this week is they came out with a pretty good win last week. And like one of those against all odds kinds of wins.
Stole one, right?
Yeah. JJ McCarthy came out a little shaky, but looked good to finish the game. And I did say on the show a couple weeks ago that I thought McCarthy was going to be good, right? Remember I brought up he was
when we talk about the division.
McCarthy was the number one quarterback coming out of high school when he got recruited by Michigan. Michigan just didn't throw the football. But this kid is good. And I think he showed the poise that's if you're a Vikings fan, you be encouraged by. But can he handle the emotions of the ups and downs that came with last week with that win? Coming in against a Atlanta team that, like you said, gave a football game away last week. But I saw some things out of that offense that I had questions about. I had questions about Penix on how he was going to be able to command the offense. He looked decent enough, and I had a lot of questions about what was going to happen at receiver, especially now. Drake London, I think, is banged up a little bit. Yeah. I mean, not Drake London.
He is, yeah, but he's expected to play.
He's playing, but the Oppo from him, he's banged up too.
Ray McLeod?
It's not McLeod. I can't remember who it is. But number 2 receivers, he's banged up. But Kyle Pitts made an appearance last week, which is encouraging for Atlanta fans. And you're gonna have to deal with Bijan. I'm not hating on the Vikings. I just think they're gonna come down off that emotional win last week, and Atlanta's feeling a little desperate. That's why I'm taking Atlanta on the road.
I like who I pick for this game. I picked the Vikings. I think JJ and them just kind of follow up what they built on at the end of last week. It's tough taking Atlanta, bro, because every week seems like it looks like the same. Every week looks like they have moments where they look really good and they can put up a lot of points, and then you look in the fourth quarter and they either scrambling to try to tie the game or they scrambling to hold on to a win. So that's why I'm just going to take Minnesota. I just think Minnesota's better coached at this point. No disrespect to Raheem Morris, but I watched that Tampa game. I kept watching. I talked about it on Monday. I don't know how they didn't beat the Bucs. They had the early lead.
Baker gave them a game. Baker was giving them the game.
Yeah. Aside from a couple throws that Baker made, he was shaky. Like, they couldn't really get the running game going. Mike Evans wasn't dominating on the outside. The rookie makes the 2 big touchdown catches, but the Tampa team, for some reason, just hung around, and then found a way to win that game late. And so that's just the thing with Atlanta. I feel like every week is going to be the same thing. Every game with Atlanta feels like it's going to be a 1-score game in the last 5 minutes. So I'm going to go with Minnesota. Trip, Monday night, we got 2 games. We got the Bucs, who we were just talking about, in Houston. You got the Bucs in that one. So do you, Will. Trip, let me know, though, why you got the Bucs.
I just think they bounce back and look a lot better than what they did this past week. Because again, they didn't play their best football, but I do believe they have a bounce back week, and I don't know. Texans didn't look good to me last week. I think the Buccaneers can go on the road and steal one.
Will.
Yeah. When it comes just to, I think it's more about the Texans than it is the Bucks. They really don't have their running back room figured out yet.
Yeah,
And on top of that, CJ Stroud, I think he's overthinking his game. Like when I watch him play, and I partner that with, because you know what we do. I watch a lot of podcasts with the way he tries to analyze football on his podcast. He looks at the game as more of a. I feel like he only sees it from the quarterback's position. Where great quarterbacks see it from a great quarterback can tell you what the receiver's supposed to see, what the line's supposed to see. Like when you ever see, if you ever watch him break down film, he only gives you it's like he doesn't have a true concept of what everybody else is supposed to do. And I think if did you watch Houston last week? The timing and it's like they were just running plays. It didn't feel like that they had a game plan to me. It just felt like they were just running plays. Like it almost felt like practice. And I'm just not really feeling them. And when you look at the Bucks, I think they're a more talented football team. I think you're going to see Baker play better. I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a big game from the rookie Egbuka this week because Houston's a team that's, they with the corner they have, they're gonna lock him up on Evans 1-on-1, but they're gonna cheat up top with the safety. Of course, you got to. I think this is a game where you could see Egbuka make plays. This is a game where Bucky Irvin can get loose. And it's also a game where I think you could see, which is not, nobody's going to put this in the, fantasy predictions or anything like that. But I think you can see Rashid White actually come in and spell Bucky Irvin a lot, because if you can break down that defensive line and you can make that line tight, that's going to only improve your chances to succeed against Houston, because that secondary is kind of decent. But I like the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to be a sneaky team this season to compete for the NFC Championship. And I think if they're going to do that, this is the kind of game they have to go and win.
I think the Bucks are good. I think long term they're going to be good this season. I like Houston in this game, though. Bit of a bounce back game. And you did say something that's very true. And I had already kind of thought about it, and then I went back and looked at the numbers. When you talk about last week and them not having a rhythm, they literally were 50-50 on pass attempts and rushing attempts. They to me, that's not who you are, right?
No, you just calling plays at that point.
Yeah, Nick Chubb is not the same running back he was 3 years ago. And so for you to be force feeding him 13 to 15 carries makes absolutely no sense. Your best offense is with the ball in CJ Stroud's hands. I think this week they're going to go back to that. Don't be surprised if he throws the ball 35, 40 times and they just say, look, we're going to live with our quarterback winning games and making plays, because they go down last week, and that fumble they had at the end of the game obviously seals the deal for them when they have the chance to possibly beat the Rams. But even up until that point, it's like you playing safe football for 4 quarters. At some point, you got to take the top off and be like, all right, let's just start airing it out a little bit. Nico Collins didn't get the targets he deserved. I thought they didn't use Dalton Schultz enough against a very young Rams linebacker core. So I think this week they get to it. And we talk about really good defenses in the league. The Texans have a really, really good defense. They got the pass rushers with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Obviously, you got Stingley and Petrie in the secondary. So they got a good defense. I think this week they air it out. That's why I like them to win that. And then the last game of the night, Will, I already know you got the Chargers. I got Vegas. Tripp has Vegas. Tripp, why do you have Vegas and Geno Smith winning this game and going 2-0?
Yeah, both got Vegas?
I got Vegas. I'm taking the points. They're getting 5.5 points.
I like what I saw from Geno last week, and I think that with Genty, I thought he for his debut, I thought it was pretty good. Brock did amazing. I think they're going to continue to build a chemistry between those three. So So yeah, I got the Raiders winning. I'm sorry, Will. I know you want us to pick the Chargers, but I got the Raiders. I'm sorry.
Nah, don't pick them. I want to be up on the picks. Don't pick them.
Well, like I said, I'm picking the Raiders to cover the 5.5. It's a divisional game. Pete Carroll and Harbaugh have a long history of going against each other, college and in the NFL. And I think that Vegas has figured out the balance to be competitive. The Chargers should win this game. But if you're telling me I get 5.5, I get 6 points, why not take Vegas? Because again, I think they got enough to keep this game close and competitive against you guys. In Vegas, they're getting a home game here. So I like them getting the 5.5 points in a division rivalry.
You heard that, dog? Disrespect. Listen, Brock Schmowers, we're going to put DJ on him too. Just like we did Kelsey, you're going to get locked up.
Matchup though, than Kelsey, man.
Yeah, it's tougher, but that's DJ.
DJ's elite though. Yeah, DJ. I mean, it's going to be a time matchup. You know, it's a Monday night matchup.
So what exactly they going to do with our offense? Just question. Just a.
Well, I mean, they're going to do what they probably would always do. They're going to have trouble with Ladd because they don't have the corners to really match up in that aspect. So it's either going to be roll coverage or we're going to sit on everything underneath and force Justin to throw over our head.
And let me just tell you, it was emotional.
Right now, it's probably going to be that. It's probably going to be sit on all the short and intermediate routes and try to let your pass rush get there. That's probably going to be their game plan.
I think this week you're going to see my rookie running back actually do some damage. Omari Hampton, I think, is really going to be able to affect that defensive line when you're running away from Max Crosby. I'm not worried about the other guys. And I just don't think they're talented enough to compete with us. And we're going to show it again. But we'll see. The whole nation's going to see Monday again, under the lights again, 2 weeks in a row.
It's very possible. Well, I mean, listen, I've already said I think the Chargers are a playoff team. So if they win, I'm not shocked. I'm betting against the spread. I'm taking the points.
I got you.
6 points is favorable when you consider. I think that the Raiders are respectable. This isn't some bum team that you're getting on a Monday night and it's like, oh, we could light them up. They're respectable. They got enough offensive weapons to keep this close. They got enough defense to keep this close. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they take the lead on y'all and then y'all got to fight from behind. And then it makes the 6 points even more favorable for me.
I like something to keep a matchup to keep an eye on. It's not, a direct matchup, but let's keep a look at their rookie running back and ours. And let's see who comes out on top. Pause.
Well, their rookie running back's probably going to get more touches. I don't think that's a fair comparison.
I think it's because I don't care how many touches he gets, is how much is he going to do with it.
That plays a major factor. Though. If you're telling me one running back is getting 20 plus touches and the other one might only get 12 to 15, there's more opportunity.
It's what he get there. That's true. That's math. But what you going to do with those opportunities? What you going to do with those opportunities? What you going to do with those opportunities is what I want to see. What's going to be the?
I mean, we can see, but I like Ashton's.
Hey. It's gonna be that all day for me. So I might talk a little irrational when it comes to them dudes. But
listen, I get it. Before we wrap up, let's go around. Quick final thought, Trip. Let me hear something.
No, you know what? My final thought is just gonna be for all the kids going back to school. Just want to wish y'all all a good school year this year. Y'all do your thing. Don't get in too much trouble. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. Just to the kids.
That's what's up. Final thought.
That's it.
Oh no, hold on. Sorry. Time out. Time out. I apologize. Because there was a question from Pooh. Will, I don't know if you want to partake in this, but I know
Pooh, what up, Pooh?
Trip and I have to partake in this. This weekend, Trip. It's the biggest fight of the year. It's probably the biggest fight of the last 3 or 4 years. Canelo Crawford. Pooh wants to know who we got. Will, I don't know if you're a fight fan. Me and you have never spoke.
I am. You know what? It's bittersweet for me because I used to host fight parties. But I'm talking about, I'm a little older, y'all. I'm talking about like De La Hoya's, Pernell Whitaker days, like back in them days. But
Yeah.
I really hate what boxing has become over the years. So I've kind of gotten out of it. I still pay attention to the big fights, but I don't consume it like I used to at all. I'm not gonna aim go front, but of course I'm Bud home team. Come on, I'm going Bud. Not can I give you all any technical?
Absolutely.
No, I can't. I'm not
Oh,
saying I can't give you. As I'm saying, I can't give you no technical breakdowns of the like boxing for me. About in the last I'd say 7 years has really. It's just a spectacle to me. Nobody fights each other no more. You got all these fake fights. You got Jake Paul that's really a real name in boxing now, and the way dudes are moving. Like who the fuck's y'all talked about it Monday, right? Who's Jake Paul fighting? A dude that's
Tank.
really in contention is really supposed to be out here trying to be the best, and he's having an exhibition with a YouTuber. Like I'm all the way out on boxing as a whole, but I know
All
this
about
fight is huge. But home team, I'm going home team. I'm going Bud, and that's all I got for you on that front. So I'm gonna let y'all take over. Good to be with y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all next week. Much
yes,
love,
sir.
Eric Tripp. I'm gonna be tuning in Monday for sure. Last week I went 13-3, 14-2 was on the horizon.
14-2
I'm
looking
out.
up.
Load it up, put it all on it, put it all on it.
I
Much
got you,
love to
bro.
you, brothers, man.
I'll hit you up tomorrow during the games.
For sure. Much love, man.
Yes,
Love y'all.
sir. But Trip,
all right.
let me hear it, man.
I picked Crawford. I'm still picking Crawford. I know you sent me over something earlier in regards to maybe a possible lingering injury. If that is the case, that would change things for me, obviously, because you fighting at a handicap. You're already fighting at a handicap, going up in the weight to fight. One of the best at that, the best, really at that weight. But if there's no shoulder injury or anything like that, anything lingering, I'm still taking Crawford.
I've gone back and forth on this. I've said it many a times. I think Crawford is one of the elite fighters of all time, not just of this era. And I know what this fight means for this era, because everybody will say, well, the winner of this was the best fighter of this era. Possibly so.
Definitely if Crawford wins.
Yeah, I'm conflicted.
Because he's undefeated.
Yeah. Listen, Bud Crawford is the first ballot Hall of Fame that he's one of the greatest fighters of any era. And if we want to talk this era over the last 20 years and really narrow it down since Floyd left the game, it is Bud Crawford and Canelo.
Yes.
They've been the best two fighters. We know that. My confliction here comes in, like I said, was when you have most times you would take the superior boxer over the puncher. And now Canelo's a good boxer as well, but if we're going to break it down and say who got the better footwork, who's got the better technical boxing skill, it is Bud Crawford. He is a better pure boxer than Canelo. Canelo's no slouch. It's just the skills are more on Crawford's side. But I just feel like we cannot ignore the amount of weight that Crawford is putting on for this fight. And if the conversation around the shoulder is true, did it become inflamed because of him trying to bulk up to get to this weight? Is it because of the amount of stress he's putting on his body to make sure he comes in at this weight? We don't know. And that to me is the big uncertainty with this. And that's why I keep leaning towards Canelo, because it's easy to say, yeah, Crawford's the better boxer, but you don't know how his body's going to respond to the amount of weight that he's putting on for the fight until you get in the ring. We've never seen it. It's not like Crawford has fought at this weight 2 or 3 times and we can say, hey, when he's done it the last couple of times, he responded fine. This is truly his first time at that weight. And so it's possible that it could be an adjustment period. It's possible that there may be fatigue. It's possible that he starts fast and then his body just won't allow him to maintain that pace for the rest of the fight. And that's why I highlighted on Monday, Crawford's strategy could be get out quick, win the rounds early on Canelo, and then that way you force Canelo to come to you, and then now you just use your superior boxing skills to win the rest of the fight. You know what I'm saying? I took control. I won 4 of the first 5 rounds. Now you got to be aggressive, and I could just set you up the rest of the night and pick you apart, as opposed to me having to be the aggressor. Because I think that's where Bud could get in trouble in this fight. If Bud is losing early rounds, and then he has to become the aggressor, then you open yourself up to some of the power punches from Canelo, because Canelo's a great counter puncher himself. Canelo is known for punishing guys in the middle to late rounds. Look at Canelo's resume. A lot of these fights that he wins is because he just dismantles you in those middle rounds and puts you away late. So I'm leaning Canelo. I'm going to say it's going to a decision. I don't think he can knock out Crawford unless Crawford gets very reckless in his fight. I don't see Crawford doing that. Vice versa. When Crawford beat Errol Spence was very reckless early in that fight. I don't think Canelo will ever be that reckless in this fight. It's going to truly be a chess match. I'm giving Canelo the advantage, like I said, because of the weight, because now we're hearing about the shoulder, and I think that's a lot to overcome. But I do think if the fight is close enough and it goes to the cards and it's a decision, we get a rematch. And then in that rematch, I probably would feel a little more comfortable picking Crawford, knowing that he's already fought at that weight. So I'm gonna go Canelo. This one of the fights, I'm not gonna front trip. I don't even want to bet on it because I'm gonna feel bad no matter which direction I bet.
Yeah, because it really is a coin toss.
Yeah. If they were fighting anybody else, we'd be picking them.
Yeah, pretty much.
But because they're fighting each other, it's one of those like if I gotta pick somebody, I'll pick somebody. But then at the same time, it's like, do I want to bet against them? Like if we put money on Crawford and then Canelo's winning, you're gonna feel like, yeah, I should have saw it coming, and vice versa. If I bet on Canelo and Crawford's winning, I'm gonna feel like I should have known. So. But yeah, man, that's how it's gonna play out. You did give your final thought. I'm gonna give you my final thought right now. Again, shout out to all the supporters. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you lock in with us Monday night, 7 p.m. We got a special guest coming through Real Fans Real Talk. And then as always, we'll be back next Wednesday. Sanchez show next Wednesday at 7:30 with week 3 picks. Enjoy the games this weekend, guys. Enjoy the fights. Again, thank you to my brothers Trip Young, Will Gordon for joining me tonight. We'll see you guys on Monday, man. We are out of here.
Peace.